Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Lando from the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. I am live today for a very special start sit segment. This is for Thanksgiving. We've got a couple games on the slate today. I'm here on my own. I'm here to hang out with all of you, and hopefully, we are ready to rock. We've got our chat going. We've got KFK Fantasy Football in the chat. Yo, man, you're a fantasy football podcast or a show. I need your help to get all these questions answered. We need to hang out, have a good time today. We appreciate you. Let me know if my audio's good, my video's good, and we're ready to rock, guys. It's going to be fun. We've got some people in the chat already. We are pumped up, guys. Bear with me today. It's going to be some fun, but I'm on my own, and I'm going to go as long as I need to. We are on the road to 1,000 subs today. We're on this road until we get there. This is a big benchmark for us. We're here grinding every single week, trying to get this all set up. So hopefully, if you don't subscribe already, if you consider subscribing, and thank you, sir. Thanks, guys. I love the questions already, boys. This is awesome. You guys are unreal. All right, so Eckler or Cooks. I'm afraid if Eckler doesn't play, I'll be screwed, but I have Rager on the bench. I don't expect Eckler to play KFK. I'm not thinking he plays. He was activated off injured reserve, but I don't think he's actually going to suit up this game. So I think Brandon Cooks is a pretty safe option. Make sure you put him in your wide receiver spot. Don't put him in the flex. And then that still gives you the option. If Eckler plays, I'm not sure what other running backs you have, but you could potentially swap out Eckler for these other guys if you have fringe options like if you have a Gus Edwards or if you have a Kalen Ballage or something like that plays later in the week. If we're hearing Eckler plays, I'm not even sure if Eckler plays, my man, that you're going to want to start him week 1. I know he's got that top 5-12 upside in this offense with Herbert targeting him a ton, but that was a pretty gruesome hamstring injury. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to feel the most confident starting Eckler this week. So hopefully that helps. But Brandon Cooks is a great option. You got Gibson and Chubb. I think you just sit down Eckler this week, my man. I think you just let him sit and then see how it happens. If he does play, not a big deal. You've got really good running backs in behind. And Brandon Cooks is set up for a pretty good matchup against Detroit today. The high risk, you don't want to be left with a bad option in your flex spot. So, yeah, I would definitely start Brandon Cooks. He's in a great spot. I love the questions already, my guys. You guys are deadly. He's desperate. He needs Rojo or Lenny. Big Lenny or Rojo. Man, it is tough. It seems like the Tampa Bay Bucks just want to throw the football. Just throw the football. And they need a running back to help block. Seems to be their main goal. I would still have Ronald Jones up there. Against Kansas City, it's especially set for that game script where you're going to have to pass catch or stay back in the backfield and block for Tom Brady. I do think Ronald Jones is the lead back in Tampa. Now, what's my confidence level? Not great. So I've got Ronald Jones as a top 24 running back, so a running back 2 basically. But I've got Leonard Fournette as a top 30 back. So because he's got touchdown upside, this game projects to be a fairly high over-under. I could take a look at the actual mark by Vegas in a bit if you guys have tons of time with me, and I hope you do. But it's tough, dude. It's tough. As soon as you want to trust a Tampa Bay running back, that's when they pull the rug from under you and Leonard Fournette gets that touchdown, right? It could be the Kansas City scenario where we saw Le'Veon Bell get more involved this past week and get some red zone looks, right? Where now Leonard Fournette is used to the system. He has shown in practice that he's a viable option. He used to be, when he came out of college, that speed size phenom. He's not that guy anymore. He's put on those LBs. He's not quite as fast, but he does present a different option for Tampa Bay to run heavy with him. He can stay back and make blocks of the backfield, and he can pass catch as well. So, yeah, my dude, I think it's going to be rated our savior, man. I think you go with Ronald Jones here, but my confidence level, I would say, is not great. Thanks to everyone, all 13 of you watching. We are trying to get to 1,000 subs. Make sure you like this video. We got 65 likes on my last live stream. Just give you a point of reference. Our big last marathon that we did, a 2-hour live stream, we had, I think Scotty was saying like 40 hours of content viewed. We had over 120 hours of views this past week. We love you guys. Thank you so much for coming by. And we're doing this for the grind. We are working tirelessly to try to help you guys. And it's a great Thanksgiving day. Hopefully everyone has a great Thanksgiving. So like this video. We appreciate it. It means a ton for the algorithm for YouTube. Noah, what is going on? Am I crazy to be starting Amari Cooper over Wayne Gallman and James Conner? Man, I don't think you're crazy. We saw Andy Dalton really target Amari Cooper quite a bit. His upside is there. His floor is definitely lower than a guy like James Conner. So if I'm going to go Amari Cooper or James Conner straight up, I mean, I have James Conner higher. I've got still James Conner versus Baltimore as a top, he's a top 20 back, no question. He has upside to be a top 12 running back, no question. Where Amari Cooper might be closer to a top 24 back. It depends if you are behind in a matchup, if you're ahead, if you're projected to win, and I know projections don't mean everything, I would go with Conner. Now, between Conner and Wayne Gallman, I think I go James Conner. Wayne Gallman has a ton of upside as well, but he's more of a top 20 running back against Cincinnati than James Conner has the potential to be a top 12 guy versus Baltimore. Now, if you want to take the risk out of it, because that Baltimore game, we had more positive COVID tests happen, that maybe it doesn't happen. So maybe your choice is between Gallman or Cooper. So if you take that out of here, I would start Amari Cooper over Wayne Gallman. So if you kind of see that scenario, you know what I mean, where if you take the risk out of it and it's a high risk, high reward play for Amari Cooper versus Washington, it makes today funner. We're here Thanksgiving in America, and watching Amari Cooper hopefully go off against Washington would be a great day. Now today, you're sweating today, right? So then you have to decide between Gallman or James Conner, and then that's what you have to make that decision. If the game doesn't happen, you're stuck with Gallman, and that's okay. But if you need a big game, if Amari Cooper takes a pooper today against Washington, then you go with a high upside play. Maybe Gallman with that better matchup is the higher upside guy, in your opinion. We will also do a live start sit on Sunday as well. This isn't the only live start sit today. So instead of a podcast today, I decided to go live, and we will still get you. So we will get you more up to date on Sunday with any injuries, with maybe that Pittsburgh-Baltimore game being postponed even more. I'm not sure how the NFL is going to do it if they postpone that game again, because Pittsburgh already missed their bye, but we will see. We got Harris YT in the chat. What is going on, KFK? So Harris YT, he's got Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, or Logan Thomas in standard league. You've got some really good tight end options. And between Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson, I technically have TJ Hawkinson higher in the ranks. And that's basically based on receptions and targets he should get versus a very susceptible Houston DST. Now, like I mentioned before, this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game might not even happen. Generally, I might have Mark Andrews higher in the ranks. Pittsburgh's a tough defense, but the volume in Baltimore is not going to be as good. It's not going to be as much, but when Lamar makes passes, he generally targets Mark Andrews. So that's where, again, you're sweating this Detroit-Houston game. If TJ Hawkinson doesn't have a big game, that's okay too, because most tight ends don't have a big game. TJ Hawkinson has touchdown upside. He has reception upside, so that's where I would go. It's a standard league, so that receptions don't really matter. So I would go Hawkinson, but with these kind of, when they're close and they're both high-end tight ends, you got to go with your gut, my man. You got to go with, you know what, I had that big game from Mark Andrews this past week. You got to stay in the flames with that. I don't blame you, but 1-for-1 this week, I've got Hawkinson higher, my dude. Oh, yeah, Swift out too. I was hoping Swift was going to play today. I've got to start Le'Veon Bell instead of DeAndre Swift, so that's where I'm at today. TS, what's going on, my man? He's got sit 1, Godwin, Ridley, Deontay, and Brandon Cooks. Let me just jump over to my wide receiver rankings here, guys, and I will let you know who I've got the highest. It's tough with Godwin because it's potential that Antonio Brown has surpassed him as the #1 target getter in Tampa Bay, where Godwin is the slot guy. He's still getting receptions. He's still getting high value red zone looks. But Antonio Brown also gets those deep balls. We haven't seen them connect yet, but Antonio Brown is getting targets down the field, and that's where Chris Godwin does not have those targets. So he's got Godwin really. I mean, you got to start Deontay, but again, there's a high risk, but it's fine. All right, I got Ridley. You're starting Ridley. Next, I would definitely start Deontay as of right now, even against Baltimore, no question. And then I've got Godwin. So right now, I would sit down Brandon Cooks against Detroit. I know it's a good matchup, and I like Brandon Cooks. I'm starting him. But with your other options, I would go with those other guys. Now, if you're considering or concerned about the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game not happening, then start Brandon Cooks and then make that decision there. So if you're concerned, which the game should happen, I think the NFL tries the best possible, best it can do to play that game, guys. I think they have to play that game because the bye weeks are going to just be all messed up. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Pittsburgh. But if that game does happen, and it probably will, then you would sit down Brandon Cooks. Otherwise, then I would sit down Chris Godwin against Kansas City. So that's how I have them ranked. TS, hopefully that helps. Yeah, I don't worry about so if you have a guy like Brandon Cooks and your opponent has Deshaun Watson, I'm not concerned about which wide receiver to have. You can still have a really good wide receiver day without the quarterback having a good day. So it does happen. Like Brandon Cooks is getting tons of targets. He doesn't need a touchdown for you to be viable. It's possible that Duke Johnson runs in every touchdown. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's possible. So I don't consider that too much when I'm starting my players. I want to start my best players, my chance at winning the matchup, not necessarily who your opponent has. If my opponent had Nyheim Hines last week and I was concerned about starting Jonathan Taylor, I would have missed out if I would have had a different option. So you know what I mean, guys? It doesn't really matter who your opponent has. You're still getting the upside. You're still getting the fantasy points. They're not based necessarily on each other. So, all right, guys, lots of questions. Thanks for coming by. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get 1,000 subscribers. We're getting pretty close. So if you're new to the channel, I will get to your question. We got the OGs here. We got the guys that come by every week, and I appreciate all of you. So I'm not too concerned, but it's just me today. So it might take a little bit longer to get to your question, but I will definitely get to your question. I just am happy that we have all these people watching. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with me on Thanksgiving. Hopefully you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully your fantasy teams all win. If you're watching me, I hope I make the right start-sit decision and your teams kill it this week. So, Thomas, happy Thanksgiving. So I lost Breeze and Burrow and picked up Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith. Who does he start? That's a great question. I think Kirk Cousins is in a really good spot this week. Starting him over Alex Smith, I think, is definitely the play to go. Carolina gives up a lot to everyone, whether it's the running back, quarterback. Because Dalvin Cook is going to probably run like crazy over Carolina. This presents more trips to the red zone for Kirk Cousins. I've got Kirk Cousins starting over Alex Smith. I am starting Alex Smith in some DraftKings and some betting lineups, but my confidence, I mean, you still got to go with Kirk Cousins. He's a top 20 quarterback for me this week. Alex Smith is outside the top, or right at the top 24 for me. So Alex Smith, although he has a pretty good chance to have a good game against Dallas today, I would go with Kirk Cousins. So thanks for coming by, Thomas. I know tough break on Burrow and Breeze, and hopefully you get up a big win this week, my man. Noah, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. He's 10-1, so I'll go Amari Cooper. Don't really want to risk starting Connor if the game gets canceled. I'm predicted to win by almost 40. Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate you coming here. You are locked and loaded as the number 1 seed in your league. You are rocking and rolling. Go with Mr. Amari Cooper. Hex yeah, go for it. Thanks for coming by. This guy, Noah, you've got the best record in the league. You are projected to win by 40. Your team is locked and loaded, and you still come by and like this video and come by. Oh, you guys are the best. You don't even need to be here, but you're here anyways. So thanks for being a real OG. I'm hopeful that Amari Cooper has a great game this week, and we're ready to rock. He's got Terry McLaurin or Keenan Allen in standard. Holy moly. Terry McLaurin has an ankle. He's expected to play. He's been awesome for fantasy. I think you still got to go with Keenan Allen. Terry McLaurin is like a top 10 wide receiver against Dallas this week, but I've got Keenan Allen even higher. Against Buffalo, their defense has not been great. Herbert's been on fire and targeting Keenan Allen at an enormous crazy rate, so you gotta stick with Keenan Allen. Your team would be awesome. It's awesome, obviously, if you are deciding between McLaurin or Keenan. So roll with Keenan, my dude. That is great. Griffin, what is going on, my man? You're coming by every week. CEH or Robinson at running back, and AJ Brown, Jefferson, or Pittman at the flex. Standard league projected to win by 10. You guys are catching on. You know what I need to know to find out where I have these guys ranked, and this is perfect because he's projected to win by 10, so you won't necessarily want a safe floor play, and a safe floor play is going to be James Robinson in a projected potential rain again, or no, that's rain in Philly, so it's fine weather versus Cleveland. So I still think Robinson projects for a safe floor. I'm really glad we had that CEH game this past week, but Tampa Bay is really good against the run. So with this game, you're hoping for a touchdown on the ground. It's possible that Clyde gets that, but Tampa Bay won't give up as much on the ground as the Kansas City had this last game against Vegas. So I would go with James Robinson in a great matchup. He will get the carries. They are now starting another quarterback in Jacksonville, so James Robinson's carries are there. He's got AJ Brown, Jefferson, Pittman at the flex. You got to go with Brown and Jefferson. I know Pittman's been great, but AJ Brown is phenomenal, and Jefferson has also been on fire. So it's a tough one there. You don't need the upside of Pittman, but I think AJ Brown has a great floor. That guy is a beast, and go with Jefferson. Pittman's been great, though. Keep him on the bench. Hopefully it's a keeper league, and you get to keep Michael Pittman or Jefferson next year. Eric, what's going on, my dude, the OG fan? I am running with Gibson, feeling good, top 10. Totally, dude. I love Antonio Gibson. I traded him away, and I'm having major regrets, my dudes. I'm having regrets. I wish I would have kept Antonio Gibson. Mary the Dawn. Yes, you should totally. I haven't seen you before. Thanks for coming by, Mary. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so hopefully this helps out. And I would definitely start Will Fuller. He's in a great spot. It's supposed to be a pretty good high over under. It's a great game, and you can watch Will Fuller hopefully go off against Detroit. He's a top 10 wide receiver for me this week, no question. It just also depends on who else you have. If you have Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, I would not start Will Fuller. But if you have guys like Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, DJ Chark, in that case, I would start Will Fuller. So it just depends on who else you have. But and if it's a PPR, half PPR, but totally. Ahmed or McKissick this week. I've got Ahmed higher in my ranks. I think Ahmed has a good game this week. Not to say McKissick can't if you're in a full PPR league. He does have a pretty safe floor, but we expected that last week as well. Jets defense is very susceptible to everything again. Just like Carolina, they can get run on, they can get passed on. Tua is starting for Miami, or projected to start for Miami, so they've been running the ball a little bit more when Tua is in the building. But if it turns out that Fitzpatrick is back there, that still lends to a better game script. That if Fitzpatrick is there, that means the Jets are winning and Miami is losing. Ahmed can catch out of the backfield. He can do it all pretty much for Miami. So that's who I would start. McKissick, although he had a bad game this week, I still think he's startable against Dallas. The projected game script seems to be a high over-under, so McKissick could get passes out of the backfield and could potentially spell Gibson. I want Gibson to get more work out of the backfield, but it's hard to say what happens there. So yeah, I would start Ahmed or over McKissick. Griffin, is it crazy to drop Baker for Daniel Jones in a 12-team super deep league with 2 quarterbacks? Current starters are Baker and Alex Smith. I would probably not drop Baker in a 2-quarterback league, even though he's been really, really bad and thrown interceptions. They're projected. I do have Daniel Jones higher in the ranks, but only by 1. So that Cincinnati defense is not as good. Jacksonville also doesn't have a phenomenal defense, but Cleveland's projected to run the ball a ton. I've got both those guys kind of higher than Alex Smith in my ranks this week. I don't blame you if you want to sit down Baker over Alex Smith. Totally understandable because Baker's been bad and hasn't performed for your fantasy team. But I would look to see who else to drop from your team, because dropping a quarterback is not really recommended in those super flex leagues. Maybe go after a guy and trade away Baker Mayfield for a guy who has Jake Luton, had Ryan Finley, or picked up Joe Flacco. Maybe they're looking for a name of Baker Mayfield if your trade deadline has not passed already. So thanks for all the questions, guys. Make sure you like the video. We got 10 people watching, 15 likes. I love you guys. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. We don't really have anyone here hammering Twitter like we normally do to get new people in, but some of you I haven't seen before, so if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. Hopefully you appreciate the grind. Should I start Elliott over Miles Sanders in my other league, or who should I start, Eckler or Sanders or Monty? Louis, I'm not projected that Eckler plays, so I would definitely start Zeke Elliott this week. He actually looked really good this past week. Technically, I do have Miles Sanders ahead of Zeke Elliott, so my rankings do have Miles Sanders ahead. Miles Sanders is a phenomenal running back, but Washington defense, I think Zeke is going to get a ton of work against Washington today. So yeah, it depends on your other options. It'd be surprising, I suppose, if you have a ton of better options than Zeke, but it's not impossible for sure. Like, I would probably start James Robinson over Zeke this week as well, based on what we've seen. And then Eckler or Monty. So Monty should play and is expected to play. So I don't think Eckler plays. So I would just play Monty no matter what. I said this earlier that it's potential. Even if Eckler is active for this game, there's a chance that he's not himself. It's limited snaps. So Green Bay gives a ton to the running back, Montgomery. Although he doesn't seem to take advantage of these bad matchups, will get the volume and be okay and have a pretty safe floor against Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay made Jonathan Taylor break out, and he had been looking bad and not getting the opportunities. So Monty could be about the same. Hopefully everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Make sure you like this video. We got Logan. Logan, what's up? Should I keep Mostert in my starting lineup or pick up AP now that Swift is out? I think if Mostert is active, I think you got to play him. AP should split the work with Kerryon Johnson. One of them will probably stumble into the end zone. but that's not guaranteed. So I would leave AP on the bench. We thought AP might get the bulk of the work last week, and it really, neither of them had fantasy relevance. So if I haven't heard any updates on Mostert, I think if he is expected to play, I think you gotta play him, especially over a guy like AP. If you had a better option than Adrian Peterson, and get the risk factor out of Mostert, then it's a different scenario. I don't have Mostert that high in my rankings right now, but yeah, I would still start him. Yeah, I'm not big on Adrian Peterson, but it's possible that he has a safer floor than Mostert, but that's only if Mostert is limited in snaps or doesn't play, pretty much. Jesse, what's going on, buddy? Ahmed, Gurley, Jones, or Duke? More running back questions. I think Ahmed has another good game. I've got him as a top 20 running back. Duke Johnson, although he's getting a ton of work, he is just right around that back end running back 2 for me. We're hoping it turns around. We're hoping that the volume is there for Duke, but it's been tough, man. It's been tough to have Duke. You figured if you had Duke stashed on the bench, you hit gold now that David Johnson is out. I was never that impressed with David Johnson, and we figured Duke Johnson can do it all. Pass catch, run through the tackles, but it just doesn't seem to be that way. Now, as for Todd Gurley, I would start Todd Gurley as well. I would start Gurley versus Vegas. His upside is there. He's got Jones. Is that Aaron Jones, I assume, or Ronald Jones? Marvin Jones. All right, Marvin Jones. So, good question. So, I would start. So, let me get back to your question here. If I'm only picking one of them, my dude, if I'm only picking one, I would pick Ahmed if I have to only pick one. But Gurley, I think Gurley also presents a very safe floor. So, okay, my rankings, I'm going to scratch that. Gurley, Ahmed, I would go Marvin Jones, and then Duke. That's how I would rank them. Safe floor with running backs. Marvin Jones did have a touchdown last week, but it was called back. So, I mean, Marvin Jones is always going to be okay now that Kenny Golladay is out. But running backs always have a safe floor, especially when it comes to any kind of league, whether it's PPR, half PPR, doesn't matter. So that's kind of where I would go. Hopefully Stafford gets a bounce back game. I think the upside, I would still kind of have that because Gurley has touchdown upside, and so does Ahmed against the Jets. So there's a world where Marvin Jones scores the most out of these guys, but the percentage chance, the range of outcome is going to be smaller, I believe, than the chance of Todd Gurley scoring 2 touchdowns as well. We've seen him do that plenty of times, and Ahmed is going to get volume and passes out of the backfield too. So that's where I would go, my dude. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully you liked the video, and hopefully you like my advice. We got 18 people watching. Thanks for coming by, guys. We are trying to get to 1,000 subs, so if you're here for the first time, we appreciate a quick sub, quick like on the video. We're only at 15 likes, but 17 watching, so some of you haven't liked the video yet. I will get to your question. I will answer every single question and give you the process on why I'm picking your player. It does depend if you are ahead in projections or behind. If you're in standard or PPR, it matters on the rankings and who you should start. So hopefully everyone is enjoying all this analysis. Louis, I need help. I have to start Hill and Jones in wide receiver, but Jones is questionable this week. So if Jones is out, should I start A.J. Brown, Will Fuller, or Miles Sanders on the flex? I would start Miles Sanders out of those guys. You've got a really good team, but make sure you start Hill and keep Jones in the flex. And then out of that scenario, it's got to be Miles Sanders. He's got the mix of floor and upside. Miles Sanders is locked in this week as a very good top 10 running back option. So Steven, Duke Johnson versus Brandon Cooks in the flex. I would go Brandon Cooks in the flex. Presents safe floor and upside. Brandon Cooks is getting a lot of work. It doesn't seem like Deshaun Watson likes to target his running back out of the backfield. So it's not a great option for Brandon Cooks. That kind of limits his floor. Ceiling, there's always touchdown opportunities. If there's a chance that Duke Johnson positions himself in the slot and gets some work and gets a touchdown, but I think there's a better chance that Brandon Cooks is doing that. He's been looking a lot better, looking consistent, looking like you can rely on him, and there's always touchdown upside. Will Fuller has it too. This game projects to be a high-scoring game on Thanksgiving. Griffin, someone dropped Mostert in my league. Happy to scoop him up. Absolutely great option. Evan Rodriguez. Evan, thanks for coming by, man. I haven't seen you in the channel yet, so if you're new to the channel, make sure to like this video, subscribe potentially. He's got a tight end question. We've got Dalton Schultz or Eric Ebron. Every video he's watched goes back and forth. That's why the tight end position is so tough, my dude. It's so tough. I have got personally, I'm starting Dalton Schultz in a matchup this week against my producer. Or no, I played him last week against my producer Scott and beat him. Sorry, Scotty. So technically, I have Eric Ebron higher in this scenario. Tight end is all about the touchdown. Is there a chance that Dalton Schultz scores a touchdown this week? Absolutely. He scored one last week. He scored one on the last play for the offense that Dallas had, and it saved his game. But before that, I think he only had 22 yards. So you are relying on touchdown. Eric Ebron also has a very similar option. He could easily have 30 yards, and if he doesn't have a touchdown, then he's not going to produce much for your fantasy squad. Baltimore is a better defense, obviously, than Washington, but I mean, it's the Pittsburgh game is projected to play. Where I should assume that the game is actually going to play. If the game plays, it's Eric Ebron. If the game misses, you could probably pick up someone off the waiver wire, whether it's Jordan Reed, whether it's maybe Trey Burton is available, maybe Jimmy Graham. All these tight ends have similar ceilings, and it's normally 2 for 20 and a touchdown. That seems to be the ceiling for a lot of these guys. Robert Tonyan might be one that has a better ceiling based on yards, because we've seen it and he's extremely athletic, but his floor is the same. His floor is 1 reception for 12 yards. I mean, that's what happens with each tight ends positions. They're usually coming to block, or they're just really not that athletic, and the first read is a wide receiver. So these tight end questions are tough. Technically, I have Ebron higher, but if there's a risk that the game doesn't happen, you want to go Dalton Schultz. These questions, you almost have to go with your gut. And I know it's hard to say and it's hard to go with, but it's so hard to predict tight ends and their target share in an offense. If Juju doesn't play, that gives a safer floor for Eric Ebron. I'm not expecting Juju to play, so that's why I would start Ebron, my dude. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you got that figured out. And it's tough. It's tough, my dude. And if Dalton Schultz has a bad game today, it doesn't ruin your Thanksgiving. So if you consider that in the scenario, if he has a touchdown, whatever. But if he has a bad game, then you're all of a sudden projected to lose the matchup, because originally he's projected for 7 points or 5 points, and now he's only got 1 or a 0, which is also possible. And then it doesn't ruin your matchup. So my fave Thanksgiving side, KFK. Does stuffing count as a side? Because that would definitely be my favorite, because turkey is the main course. So grandma's stuffing is my favorite Thanksgiving side, no question. It's so good with some gravy. If you want to mix it with some turkey or some mashed potatoes, you could do it all. There's no risk. It's good. Fresh, homemade. It's good out of the box. It's good no matter what. I love fresh dinner rolls, of course. I am Canadian, but we do Thanksgiving very similar to Americans. We're just not fortunate enough to have football all day. So don't hold it against me that I'm Canadian, because I'm here to celebrate your Thanksgiving for all of my American friends out there. I love going to America. That's the reason why I'm a Vikings fan. Don't hold that against me either. But I used to drive down to Minneapolis with my best friends and watch the Vikings play. I was on the field. The security guy led us down on the field with Dante Culpepper running out on the field. Randy Moss was a part of that team when I went down. So that's how old I am, and that's how I became a Vikings fan. That nostalgia is still there with me, and hopefully everyone, all of you American friends, have a great Thanksgiving. Damiere Byrd or Jalen Reagor? I would probably go with Jalen Reagor this week just because of that upside. Jacoby Myers is the first read for Cam Newton in New England, where Jalen Reagor just has this kind of invisible upside that we love to see with rookie wide receivers. It's been a great year for rookie wide receivers. Jalen Reagor's been hurt for most of that year, so the Seattle defense isn't great. But at the same time, I'm starting Seattle defense in a matchup. The only concern is the rain in Seattle. Or in Philadelphia, it's supposed to be a rainy game, so that could limit Jalen Reagor. Both have I would say the safer floor play seems to be Damiere Byrd based on his looks he's been getting. But if I'm going ceiling play and based on my rankings, I would go Jalen Reagor, my dude. So hopefully that helps you figure out that matchup. 14 people watching. If you don't subscribe to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm going to have a little bit of a coffee break here. But I will get to every one of your questions. Aaron, is whiskey a Thanksgiving side? If that was a Thanksgiving side, that would also be one of my favorites, my dude. So I like that. Fant or Hurst this week? Hurst gave everyone a big old donut this past week. Who has the best chance for a touchdown? That is the question of the day. I will go with Noah Fant. Noah Fant? Can I have a Noah Fant? I'll go with Noah Fant. Against New Orleans, it's not easy. New Orleans defense is a great start this week, but he's been getting lots of targets. He's a big boy, super athletic. Hayden Hurst needs Julio on the field, it seems like. If Julio was playing, Hayden Hurst has a better game. Does it make sense? Not really. I guess I don't see... When Julio's off the field, I don't see coverage all go to Hayden Hurst. That doesn't make sense why that's correlated at all, but I would go Noah Fant. Again, you're hoping on a touchdown. Both are good options. Both are top 10 tight ends. How much does that mean? Not a whole lot. Rated our savior. So if my waiver goes through on Saturday for Gus Edwards, would you start Gus Edwards or Rojo? Gus Edwards does have a pretty good floor. We saw him have a really good game against Pittsburgh already. He should get the majority of the work. Gus Edwards, that is. I still have Ronald Jones higher. I think the floor is much safer with Gus Edwards. But his ceiling is still limited with a really good Pittsburgh defense. You're hoping in this Tampa Bay Kansas City game that it's a high over-under. It's a shootout game, and Ronald Jones hammers his way in the end zone. I think despite what we saw last game, Ronald Jones still gets more opportunity than Leonard Fournette and is the lead back. How much do I trust that? Not a ton. And Gus Edwards. So yeah, Gus Edwards for the floor, but Ronald Jones still for the ceiling based on how much they run the ball. So Gus Edwards is a great ad, but yeah, technically Ronald Jones I still have higher. Why did I say Tampa Bay runs the ball a lot? Because they don't. I'm not sure. I'm just talking out of my butt sometimes. But yeah, my confidence level is not high with that. It's possible Gus Edwards has a good game. It's not. I think it's going to be a weird game for Baltimore-Pittsburgh. So, Van der Hurst, I already talked about that. I'm going to flex Beasley, but should my wide receiver 2 be Juju, Chark, or Corey Davis? Ouch. So, number one, Aurelio put Beasley in the starting spot today. No, just kidding. They don't play today. Beasley, he's gonna start Beasley, and I agree. You should start Beasley. He's really good. Juju, Chark, or Corey Davis. Oh man, Juju's banged up. If Juju plays, the answer is Juju, but I think he does sit out this game. I'm not really sure if they need him. In that case, the Deontay's of the world and Chase Claypools get bumped up like crazy. Corey Davis has been a very safe wide receiver, but he also will disappear from time to time. So I think I'd go Chark. Even though it's high risk, I would go with Chark. I have Chark in a matchup. I'm sitting him down for a guy like Antonio Brown. I'm sitting Chark over Antonio Brown. I'm not super confident in Chark. He hasn't showed to be the most reliable wide receiver, but he has a ton of upside. So technically my rankings say Chark, but my confidence level is definitely not high with him. But he's explosive. He's a great running back or a great wide receiver. You guys are awesome. 21 watching. Like, this is almost as good as our regular stream. So thanks for coming by, guys. We really appreciate everyone coming in. Hopefully you really like my explanations. And yeah, this is awesome. Colts D or Chargers or Rams. I have a mix of both across multiple leagues. I'm not excited to start the Chargers D, even though they had a pick 6 against the Jets. I'm not starting Chargers D. I'm going to drop them. Rams are in a great spot, and Colts D are always good and startable. So out of those guys, I would drop the Chargers. I would pick up if the Giants are available. New Orleans is obviously an awesome defense if they're available. Miami's good. The Browns are going to get after the quarterback. Browns are in a great spot. Even the Green Bay Packers, they're probably available on your waiver wire. So I would pick up and play the Packers over the Chargers. So Turkey is overrated. That is not inaccurate. I agree Turkey is overrated, my guy. But if you have a really good turkey, a good moist turkey, it just kind of fixes that Thanksgiving meal. You don't have to take a huge portion of turkey. You could take the good stuff. Take the stuffing, the mashed potatoes. If you like a sweet potato casserole or something like that. There's all kinds of stuff with Thanksgiving. Maybe a roasted ham is your replacement. Dude, if you want to have burgers on Thanksgiving, I'm not going to hold it against you. So, turkey is probably overrated. You can have a really bad dry turkey, and then you have to douse it with gravy to make it so you can choke it down. Hopefully your mom, wife, if it's yourself, maybe you cook the turkey. Hopefully you do it right. We had a really good turkey for our Thanksgiving. We had to brine it overnight. So, we did it like hot and fast. It kept it all moist. It was delicious. You got the mix of obviously the white meat and the dark meat. So Perrine, if Gio doesn't go, Duke or McKissick. Corey, my guy. This is tough. I'm getting lots of notifications right now. Oh, Larry Fitzgerald has tested positive for COVID. That's not great. Hopefully that game happens. Dang, that's a tough one. I'm getting questions online. T. Higgins and Marvin Jones Jr. I'd probably go Marvin Jones. But come by on the live stream if you're talking to us on Instagram. Man, that is really, 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 really tough. Duke Johnson has not been great. He has not been a very reliable option. But Samaje Perrine against the Giants, oh man, I would probably have them ranked. I would probably just sit Samaje. Like, I don't know how confident I have. The Giants defense is looking pretty good. You're hoping that Samaje kind of falls into the end zone. We're not sure how good he looks. He's just going to get volume. He's probably going to get 12 to 17 carries. How much is that worth? It's hard to say. But I would start Duke, McKissick, then Samaje. But with that being said, I think Samaje has a good floor. It's just I don't know if he's got a similar floor to Duke Johnson. Like, I would trust Duke over Perrine. So that's a tough one, dude. That's tough. Corey, I feel you. Do we get extra points if you're playing fantasy football from Canada because of the exchange rate? No, man, my exchange rate is way worse than yours right now. If you guys know USD to CAD, if you're looking at $1.30 Canadian gives you $1. So we would get hit hard. But we do win more money on DraftKings, I guess, if you want to play that. But we got to pay more money on DraftKings. So it's all the same. It's all the same, Aaron. Hopefully, I would love to get extra points against you, U.S. foe. I do play in some leagues against U.S. players. We're in the Scotty Fish Bowl this year, and that's a giant tournament. We're doing well. We're in the playoffs because of our scoring. We've scored a lot, but our record is trash. So we've gone up some against the best scorers every week, but in this tournament they let you get in the playoffs if you're one of the highest scorers across all the teams. So we're in the top 12 or top 20 anyways across every team, so that lets us get into the playoffs. So it's pretty cool that way. We're doing well. We've got a good squad, just bad luck. We've got Eckler, but I did put a bunch of fab on Mike Davis, so we got Mike Davis, which is great. So our team's looking all right. TJ Hawk or Reed. I would go TJ Hawkinson. Dustin, I think there's a great spot for Hawkinson to get a lot of work. It's a good primetime game on Thanksgiving, and I do think I would play Hawkinson over Reed. Reed's going to be okay. I think he has a pretty safe floor as well, but not quite the same as Mr. TJ Hawk. JR, hey again from Twitter. Calvin Ridley versus Duke Johnson. I would definitely go Calvin Ridley. Risky play, half PPR. I need to hold on to a playoff spot, projected to lose by 1.5, but Duke just sucks more often than not. I couldn't agree more. If you just came in, Duke Johnson, even though he's getting the work, is super risky. I would definitely play Calvin Ridley. That's your best chance at upside and at floor. Julio is a game time decision, so he's not. Ridley could be the number one target. There is what I'm trying to say. And Ridley is a baller. He used to be the number one wide receiver in fantasy. It seems so long ago now. It's hard to remember that he was that good because he's been hot and cold, injured, that kind of stuff. So JR, I would definitely play Calvin Ridley versus Duke. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you're coming by from Twitter, I want to give you guys the best information I can, go through why I'm starting these players. It's not always black and white. It's not always ranking, like ordering guys in a row, because guys have safer floors, guys have higher ceilings. You have to, if you're projected to lose, like this guy said, JR told me he's projected to lose. Duke Johnson doesn't give you a high ceiling. Deshaun Watson doesn't check down to Duke Johnson very much. So Calvin Ridley could be the number one option in Atlanta. I know Matt Ryan didn't look great, but he's still a 300 yard per game quarterback, and Ridley could be the beneficiary on all accounts on that. So as long as Ridley's healthy, that is a Ridley smash play. In the flex, Tacky T, got him. He's got in the flex between Rager or Boyd versus the Giants or Curtis Samuel. That's a really good question. Normally, my man, it's gonna be Boyd, but there's a new quarterback in Cincinnati, and there's a big question mark around Tyler Boyd this week on how good is he gonna be with this new quarterback. And I'm like, it's not Finley, it's some Brown dude. I saw him on Sleeper. I still think it's gonna be Tyler Boyd. I would say Curtis Samuel has a safer floor now because Teddy Bridgewater is back. Curtis Samuel is probably going to be used in all facets of the game in versus Minnesota, out of the backfield, out of the slot, on jet sweeps, all kinds of stuff. Like Curtis Samuel is going to be a pretty good, safe option. He seems to be that anyways, especially with Teddy Bridgewater, where Tyler Boyd doesn't really have that safe floor anymore, my dude. The New York Giants defense is going to get after that quarterback, and it's going to be hard for them to move the ball. It was hard enough to move the ball with Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's been phenomenal for a rookie quarterback. But So I technically have Tyler Boyd ahead in my ranks. So the next guy I would have is Curtis Samuel, and for a full dart play, Jalen Reagor is behind them. So I would say full ceiling, maybe Jalen Reagor, but it's supposed to rain there. So full ceiling is probably Tyler Boyd, but the floor play is going to be Curtis Samuel. So hopefully that helps you out. And Dustin is asking Brady or Daniels. Brady or Daniels. So I assume you're obviously talking about Daniel Jones. I would start Tom Brady over Daniel Jones, even though Daniel Jones is in a great matchup versus Cincy. Tom Brady versus Kansas City, it should be a shootout. He's got lots of weapons. It should be a locked and loaded start for Tom Brady. I know it's hard to trust him sometimes, but you can't have those big games without starting him every week. He could easily throw, like, are you surprised if Tom Brady throws 4 touchdowns against Kansas City, still loses the game? No. They could beat Kansas City for all we know. Where Daniel Jones, would you be shocked if Cincinnati sacks him 3 times and he throws 2 interceptions? No, you wouldn't be surprised. Daniel Jones might give you some garbage time play, but it's not going to be a locked and loaded start. He's a viable start if you have guys like Drew Lock or Joe Flacco or Alex Smith. I would start Daniel Jones over those dudes, but over Tom Brady, I just can't really set the GOAT for Daniel Jones, unfortunately. Tom Brady could throw interceptions as well, don't get me wrong. There's a chance that Daniel Jones outscores Tom, but I just think for the safe and ceiling play, you got to go Tom Brady. So, yeah, man, consistency at the wide receiver position is tough, Aurelio. It's not awesome. Austin Matthews jersey. Yes, it is an Austin Matthews jersey. I'm currently living just outside of Toronto in a smaller town. I didn't even, yeah. Oh yeah, I said the turkey was moist. I'm not making it sound creepy. Thank you, my dude. Thank you. Yeah, we're just outside of Toronto. I'm from a northern Ontario town, about 100,000 people, but I am outside of Toronto right now. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I said I was a Vikings fan as well, but really, like, when it comes down to my roots, or lately, I guess, I'm just a football fan. I'm a fantasy fan. Sometimes my soul is dying because I care more about my fantasy players than my actual team. But you live and die with this one. It's a tough world, and I live and die by these recommendations I give you guys. I stress and sweat the recommendations I'm giving you guys. Start sits. It's not, if I tell you to start a guy over another and it doesn't work out and you lose your matchup, that hurts me as much as it hurts you. So lately we've been pretty good and you guys have been awesome. The tight end position I seem to get the most flack on, but the tight end position is, like I said earlier, it's just a complete crapshoot. You guys know that. You know, it's a tough option. You got to go with the most touchdown upside tight end you can. So, Anthony Lundberg, thanks for coming by, my dude. Garrett, thank you for coming by. Blindside Boys, thanks for coming by. Henny, thanks for coming by. You guys are awesome. John Fenton, thanks for coming by, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope all my American friends have a great Thanksgiving and you enjoy an awesome day. I was gonna go until 12 o'clock, but we got 22 people watching. I'm gonna keep on keeping on and answer as many start-sit questions right up until the game if that's what we need. And if you're here for the first time, please consider subbing. I will get to your question and we will get it going. So John was the first one in the chat here. Full PPR flex, need some help, Gallman or Deontay against a tough secondary. If Juju's out, Deontay is awesome. Deontay in a full PPR league presents the most upside. I know it's a tough secondary, but Deontay's a baller. Deontay's an absolute baller. I will check my ranks, but I think you have to go Deontay Johnson. Even against Baltimore, you got to go. There's a chance that it doesn't happen, but we'll know by we'll know by Sunday if the game doesn't happen. Then you can start Gallman, no question, because Gallman does have a safe floor. He was a super top pickup this week. He was my number one pickup of the week at the running back position. But Deontay is awesome in a full PPR league. I think he presents a super safe floor and ceiling. They'll get him they'll find a way to get him the ball even against Baltimore. So that's what I would do, my dude. Any happy Thanksgiving, and God we trust. USA, go USA. Griffin, taunt, and don't eat meat. Lots of stuffing, baked potatoes for me. So yeah, hey man, if you're a vegetarian, you got to go with the stuffing and baked potatoes. Love that. Twice baked potatoes. That's good. Some he can't eat bacon bits, but you get some good stuff up there. So we're good to go. Blindside boys, what's going on? Tua Tagovailoa or Matt Ryan? I know Tua's starting for Miami, but I'm not going to start Tua because there is a chance that he gets benched. You got to go with Matt Ryan, blindside boys. You got to start with Matt Ryan, and he, like I said earlier, he's a 300-yard per game quarterback, no question. Even if Julio's out, that's his good games do not happen as often when Julio's out, but you got to start him over Tua. No doubt. Garrett, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. I had this question earlier. He's got TJ Hawkinson or Mark Andrews in the standard league, and I would still go with TJ Hawkinson. Mark Andrews had a blow-up game this past week, and if you want to stay in the flames, Garrett, you go with Andrews, But I've got Hawkinson higher this week. There's a chance that the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game doesn't happen. I do think it's going to happen, but if you want to take the risk out of the way, go with Hawkinson. With tight end, man, you got to go with your gut. Andrews is not a locked and loaded start play every week. Kind of it is. Normally people don't have a ton of options at tight end, but you've got two really good ones. So yeah. So you have a better option than Mark Andrews this week. It's in a low volume offense. He could get a touchdown, but so could TJ against Houston. Houston's a bad defense, so make sure to hit that sub button. Anthony, replace Taysom Hill with Jonnu Smith so I can make moves to start Devontae Parker over Marvin Jones. If your league is allowing you to keep Taysom Hill in there, just start Taysom Hill, because the difference between Parker and Marvin Jones is not going to be enough for the difference between Taysom Hill and Jonnu Smith. Taysom Hill could have a 25-point game, and Devontae Parker, and that could be, at best case scenario, 15 points ahead of Jonnu Smith. Devontae Parker is not going to outscore Marvin Jones by 15 points. Now, I've seen some leagues tell you, and the commissioner reaching out being like, do not start Taysom Hill in the tight end position, take him out. If your commissioner is not doing that, just keep Marvin Jones in the flex and roll with that, and that's what you got to do, Anthony. You're making it work. You play in ESPN, obviously, and they're not allowing you, or NFL.com, I guess, but they're not allowing you to keep Taysom in that tight end spot. But if you're locked in there, do it, my dude. Do it. I do like Parker over Marvin Jones for the record, but not by that much. So not by enough to mess all that up. Thanks for coming by, guys. I got 19 people watching. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And we are locked and loaded. This is a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for coming, and happy Thanksgiving to all you American listeners. So, Matthew Sparks is asking, I need one running back, one flex between DJ, I assume that's Duke Johnson, Ahmed, Montgomery, and Curtis Samuel. I have Ahmed in the RB spot and Curtis Samuel in the flex. I like that. I do think between Curtis Samuel and Montgomery this week, I would probably go. Curtis Samuel presents some floor and ceiling. Yeah, I like that. You have a good lineup right there. I have Samuel over Montgomery in a half PPR league. It's close. I do think Curtis Samuel gives you a safe floor and ceiling, where Montgomery kind of gives you a good safe floor. So Montgomery could stumble into the end zone. It's obviously possible. But so could, I would say, the percentage chance of Samuel doing that as well against Minnie is equally high. So there's a world where Montgomery outscores Samuel, but I think the chances of Curtis doing that is higher. So yeah, I would start Samuel higher. Your lineup is good, my dude. Your lineup is good. Logan, Beasley, Corey Davis, or Mike Evans. I would go Mike Evans, but it's Mike Evans, Beasley, then Corey Davis. That's how I would do my rankings. JR, but now, it just skipped on me. With Larry Fitzgerald out, do you think Pat's game is at risk? I don't think the game is at risk. Do I play Ridley over Hopkins and add someone in the flex, not Duke, and subbed? Thank you, JR, for subbing. I don't think the game is at risk. I think you stick with your lineup. I would play Ridley and Hopkins. I would just play Ridley and Hopkins, totally. We'll find out more if Hopkins was a close contact to Larry Fitzgerald. And if that's the case, then yeah, you got to sit Hopkins down. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I've got Kyler Murray starting in a lineup, so we'll know more as we go on. But right now, and we will get you up to date on Sunday, 2 hours before game time. We will do more start sits and we'll be more up to date on that situation with Arizona. So. Blindside. Should I put in Tua against Easy Just defense or Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan. I would go Matt Ryan. I think I talked to you about that blindside. Go Matt Ryan over Tua. Should I play Robbie Anderson or Tyler Lockett in the flex? Flex, my dude. Oh, he's got CEH as well. That's a good option. That's a good option as well. I would go with Tyler Lockett, number one. And then between Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Robbie Anderson, I would probably go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's what I would start. Clyde over Robinson, even against Tampa Bay. Robbie should be good against Minnesota. And now with Teddy Bridgewater back, I think his ceiling is right back there and his floor is back there. But I still think you got to start Tyler Lockett over him. And the problem is Clyde has a safe floor and he's got touchdown upside. As we saw last game, he had 2 touchdowns. So in that scenario, there is a chance, and I think it's closer than I'm saying, that Robbie has a really good game against Minnesota. But you have to go with your gut on this one because Robbie Anderson needs to project to do that more. Like I'm saying Robbie is a good like DraftKings play where I think his upside is super high, but I'm not willing to start him over Clyde and Lockett. But for the price on DraftKings, I would play Robbie over Clyde and Lockett, if you know what I mean. So that's the tough scenario you're in, my dude, because you have too many good options. So, Flex, thanks for the question. I know you're a subscriber already. Wouldn't start D Jones over Breeze either if we were talking about the GOAT. Tommy, what's going on? You're back. Thanks for coming by. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I know Tommy does, but I can start 2. He's got Bobby Trees, Pittman, or Jacoby Myers. Also, thanks for these videos, you guys. Saved my season last week. That means a ton, Tommy. Thank you so much. I'm really happy that we helped you figure out that tough start sit. I know you're in here every week, and I know you listen to the podcast because you're saying Bobby Trees. So, Tommy, thanks for being a real one. Sorry we did not release a podcast today, but this is what we're doing instead. We're doing a live instead. I would start Bobby Trees and Pittman over Jacoby Myers. I know Jacoby's been great, but it's a low volume offense, and you gotta figure it's based on efficiency with Jacoby and Michael Pittman. Let me just confirm, I guess, before I let you go. Jacoby Myers, or Pittman. I think Pittman's in a really good spot this week. Yeah, I have Pittman higher. I've got Pittman higher versus Tennessee than Jacoby Myers. I suppose that Arizona game could be at risk. As of right now, I don't think it will be. But again, we'll talk again on Sunday. But yeah, I would go Pittman over Jacoby right there. Pittman's been awesome. The guy's a beast. So thanks for coming by. And Bobby Trees is just an every week start. You got to start Robert Woods for anyone that not knowing who that is. Should I go Adrian Peterson instead of Zach Moss this week? My guy. AF24. Peterson or Moss? Let me see. Let me see what my ranks say. I think my instinct right now says Zach Moss. He hasn't been that good lately. I think his floor is a lot lower than AP, but I would indeed start Zach Moss. It's close though. I mean, the volume could be there with Adrian Peterson. He will split time with Kerryon Johnson. Could Adrian Peterson get in the end zone? Absolutely, but that's what Zach Moss is also good at against the Chargers. So, you have no confidence in Singletary. You have no confidence in Kerryon really. So it's a close one, but my confidence level is definitely not super high with this one. But I would go Zach Moss AF. But at this time, if you want something to cheer for in about 25 minutes, go with AP. He could be an absolute monster against a very susceptible Houston defense. So if they go with the hot hand in Detroit and keep Adrian Peterson in for 75% of the snaps, it's probably going to be Peterson with a better game. But Zach Moss has been a pretty decent red zone option for Buffalo going forward. It's projected to be a high-scoring game as well. That's what I got. That's what I got, my dude. As an American living outside of Toronto, now it's great to see Canadian fellas get into fantasy football when the pandemic ends. Oh, what's that? Let's get a beer. Absolutely. Let's absolutely get a beer. I would love to interact with a lot of you guys. If anyone's in Toronto or this area, and we'll get together once the pandemic ends. Thanks for coming by, guys. This is why we do the show, to interact and grow the community. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. It means a lot. Andrew is asking, thanks. I love the Diggs jersey, but in Buffalo blue. Time to jump on the bandwagon. Close enough to Toronto. Andrew, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. I would consider getting a Diggs jersey. I would get a Diggs and a Jefferson jersey. So that's what I'm considering doing that as well. I'm still a fan of Diggs. He's been dynamite this year in fantasy football. So, Single saying, wait, so I already have Taysom Hill in my tight end slot. Do you know if all his points just won't be counted? No, he will be in. He will get his points counted in the tight end spot if you keep him there. So keep him there. It's like having like a guy on IR that's no longer on IR. If you don't touch your lineup, they're going to get stay on IR and not worry about it. So yeah, no. If you have Taysom Hill in the tight end spot, just keep him there. Just keep him there unless you need to make a roster move. And this week's a good week because every team plays. So as long as no games get canceled, you can start the same lineup you had last week. Now, if you had a bye week next week and say you need to start Christian McCaffrey when he plays after his bye, yeah, maybe considering move Taysom Hill out of the tight end spot. But hey, man, work the system as long as you can. James is asking my opinion on Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is a phenomenal wide receiver. His floor is extremely safe with Joe Burrow. Now there's a question mark about the quarterback situation in Cincinnati. So, man, it's tough. Tyler Boyd's an awesome receiver, and I still think he's startable, but his floor is a lot lower. I'm not starting T. Higgins this week if I can help it, even though he's been a boss. I need to see it before I can. So I've moved Tyler Boyd down in my ranks because there's a big question mark at the quarterback position. We're not sure if they're going to move the ball as much. Samaje Perine could be okay, but I mean, I don't know if they're going to get in the end zone as often because Joe Burrow's been phenomenal. He doesn't get enough credit for being as good as he is, asked to pass as much as he does, and being under pressure as often as he was. So, yeah. So that's kind of my short and sweet stuff on Tyler Boyd. He's still going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be a super safe play anymore. Unfortunately, he's not that top 15 wide receiver like he was before. Unfortunately, sorry, my dude, but Tyler Boyd, until I see it, I have to see it first. And maybe Tyler Boyd's going to get targeted the most. It's possible, but I just can't project that right now. Aaron, thanks. I'm glad you guys found me too. Yeah. Gibson or Hunt, PPR League. I've got Gibson higher. I think Hunt is in a really good spot as well. He got all the red zone looks, Andrew, for Cleveland, but it was Chubb that was getting all the kind of work between the 20s. So Hunt still has a pretty good floor, but it's going to be lower than what Gibson does. Gibson's been locked and loaded. He's been an awesome running back lately. I wish I had him in more leagues. Unfortunately, I do not. I traded him away. So I would go Gibson this week. And then you have something to cheer for today. I hope Gibson has a massive game, guys. I hope he kills it today. Brandon Charles, happy Thanksgiving. Should I start Washington D or the Giants defense? Interesting question. I have the Giants D higher in my ranks than Washington, but not by a ton. Not by a ton. Giants D against Cincinnati against a new quarterback is projected to be in a really good spot. The Giants have been a good defense against good quarterbacks. So against the backup, it should be even better. That's the rule of thumb. Start defense against a brand new quarterback, where Andy Dalton, although he still isn't a great quarterback, was looking better last game. They play today. I think Dallas scores points against Washington. When you're starting a defense, what you want to look at is the O-line versus the D-line. If the D-line is killing it, which the New York Giants D-line is good and Cincinnati O-line is not very good, that's what you want. You want pressure on the quarterback. You want sacks. You want interceptions. That is a reason why you can still start Dallas defense against Dallas, because Dallas is going to score points, but their D-line has been awesome and will get pressure on Andy Dalton. So not to say neither, like I still like Washington defense today, don't get me wrong, but against Cincinnati, the Giants is just in a locked and loaded spot. Could it backfire on you? Sure, but I'm not projecting the new quarterback for Cincinnati to light the world on fire and not throw interceptions. So Aaron, thanks, man. Thank you, my dad. Thank you, guys. Flex fanatic, should I start Broncos, Dolphins, or Packers? I like the Packers this week. I think I would do. I would go with Packers against Chicago against Trubisky. That's what I would do. Mark Malaire, thanks for coming by, Mark. I haven't seen your name before, so if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'll get to your question. We do this every Sunday normally, and we will do it again on Sunday. Then we have two hosts, so you get two answers to all your questions on Sunday. Half PPR flex. He needs a flex spot. He's got Chase Edmonds, Gio Bernard, and Michael Pittman or Gurley. So right away, it's going to be between Pittman and Gurley for me. And I believe the floor play is going to be with Gurley. But I do believe the ceiling with Pittman is higher. So I would start Gurley in the flex. I've never been a Gurley fan. And if you know the channel, you know that. But he's been a touchdown monster this week. And it's quite possible that he has one or two versus Las Vegas. Vegas gave up 3 touchdowns last week to the running backs against Kansas City. It's possible that they do it again against Atlanta, and Todd Gurley gives you a safe floor. He's a top 20 or he's a top 12 basically running back for me this week, or very fringe, like a fringe running back 1 or 2. At worst case, he's a 2, where Michael Pittman has a ton of upside, but he's still a wide receiver 3 to me, but with wide receiver 1 upside. So so that's what I would do. I would start Todd Gurley, and that I don't say that too often. I don't think Gio Bernard plays, by the way, Mark. Marvin Jones or T. Higgins? I would start Marvin Jones, Drowsy. I talked about T. Higgins earlier. I love the talent, and I hope when Joe Burrow is back, T. Higgins is an absolute monster. But Marvin Jones provides a safe floor and ceiling. He had a touchdown last week called back. Marvin Jones is a good play. Griffin, not NFL related, but hyped to start up the NBA league once Sleeper does. Yeah. I think you messaged me on Instagram about that. Mackenzie, my co-host, is a really good basketball player. He coaches some basketball in high school and is a complete baller. He just wish he was taller. And he knows a lot about basketball. I know I'm just a very average fan. My producer Scott is a really big basketball fan. He's a big Raptors fan. I'm not sure how into other teams he is in fantasy basketball, but I know he's a big Raptors fan. I'm more of a casual fan, and maybe we can get into basketball eventually if this channel starts to hit hard. Aaron, half PPR, Fuller, Moore, or Melvin Gordon? Aaron, thanks for coming by the channel, my dude. I'm glad you found us. Thanks for the question. I think Fuller's in a really good spot this week. So between Fuller or DJ Moore, I believe I've got Fuller higher. I've got Fuller higher as pretty much a top 10 wide receiver. DJ Moore had a really good week last week, but that was with PJ Walker at quarterback. Now with Teddy back, it feels like DJ Moore's floor just came back down to when Teddy was in there before. So it's possible that Robbie Anderson gets more targets than DJ Moore. Detroit is very susceptible to the pass as much as Minnesota is as well. Minnesota, it gives up a ton to the wide receiver, and so that gives DJ Moore a good start. So between DJ Moore or Melvin Gordon, that's really the big start here. Melvin Gordon was good last game, same as DJ Moore, but I would start DJ Moore over Melvin Gordon. So yeah, start your 2 wide receivers. Melvin's good, but it's possible that Phillip Lindsay still is involved, and if he doesn't get into the end zone, I think that leaves his floor really low against New Orleans. So yeah, I would go with your 2 wide receivers, Aaron. Let me know if that's what you're going to do anyways. Lots of questions. Thanks for coming by, guys. We have 30 likes. We have awesome. This is awesome, guys. Still about 20 minutes or so before kickoff happens. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to like the video. I will get to all your questions before kickoff, and we'll be locked and loaded and ready to go, guys. Hopefully everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all my American listeners. And drop in the comments what your favorite side is. If you're here listening, what your favorite side. Are you a turkey lover? Do you think turkey's overrated? Like our other fans here. Do you like ham? Do you go to fast food restaurants for Thanksgiving? Let me know. Hopefully everyone is being safe on Thanksgiving as well and has a great time and is able to spend it with family and friends. All right, guys. I'll keep it going. Mark, I hope that answered your question. Hopefully you are a new subscriber. Yeah. I saw you subscribe to the channel, so I appreciate you. SINGL. Thank you. I can see subscribers coming through, guys. So if you're a new subscriber, I can see you. I'll give you a shout out on the channel if you're a new subscriber. Duke Johnson or Gus Edwards? I think I talked to you already about that. I think I would go with Duke Johnson, potentially. Duke Johnson or Gus Edwards, I'd probably go Duke Johnson, but I do believe Gus Edwards still presents a very safe floor. Duke Johnson hasn't looked good, and last week Gus Edwards didn't get any of the looks. So I've got Duke Johnson higher, but not by a whole ton. Yeah, it's a tough one. Touch T, my dude. Who do I start? Full PPR. Yeah, Jen agrees with me that it's going to be Dookie. Harris YT. Yeah, Griffin. If we also do a listener league, everyone. So next year you have a chance to play in a listener league. We have very custom options. We have a tiered PPR, tight end premium, super flex. We have 16 teams this year. Maybe we go 16 teams next year as well. Oh no, we have 14 teams. Anyways, it's super fun, super competitive. If you want to see if you can beat us in this league, make sure to stay subscribed and stay involved with our fantasy channel. We're gonna put stuff out all year round. Next year's rookies, we're gonna do stuff all summer, so we're good. David, he's got a dicey. Okay, Harris YT, Keenan or Terry. I said Keenan, my dude. I said Keenan Harris YT. David is asking. He's got a dicey decision: CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Reagor at wide receiver, with David Montgomery at the flex, or start both wide receivers or bring one at the flex. Could really use some help. I would start CeeDee Lamb and David Montgomery. So it is dicey. It is definitely dicey. CD caught that amazing touchdown this past week, but that was pretty much where he made his hay last week. So if he doesn't catch a touchdown, his ceiling is a little bit lower because we saw Amari Cooper get more targets last week. And then between Reagor and Montgomery, Reagor obviously does have the ceiling, but it's expected to rain a little bit in Philadelphia. Whether that really hurts Reagor, that's still yet to be seen. Montgomery against Green Bay is in a good spot. His floor is really low. Montgomery really doesn't have a ceiling, especially in Chicago. So that's what I would do, my dude. I would start CeeDee Lamb and David Montgomery and keep Reagor on the bench. But if you really need like a boom play, if CeeDee Lamb goes out and like puts up a 2 or a 3 this week, then you could pivot to Reagor if you need a miracle. That's kind of what I would do. You can pivot. Game time, it's not just a a straight, what do I do? Who do I start? It does depend on your scenario. And if you're behind in the matchup, clearly Rager has a massive ceiling, but his floor is lower than Montgomery's. I can acknowledge that Montgomery has a super safe floor, just not a good ceiling. So hopefully, David, you're watching and you that helps you figure it out. If you're new to our channel, consider giving us a subscription. So Griffin also moved to Toronto, but was going to cost a ton of money to move my vet nursing license to Canada. So unfortunately ended up not. Vet nursing license. Cool, dude. I didn't know you were a vet nurse. That's cool. My girlfriend is going to school to be a veterinary doctor. So and I know it's not the same at all, but it's that's cool. Single for wide receiver 2, should I be starting Calvin Ridley or Julio Jones? And should I be putting either of those receivers flex over James Conner? If Julio plays, I would play Julio and Ridley. If Julio does not play, I still play Ridley and James Conner. Pretty much. I'm not really expecting Julio to play, but he's pushed through stuff before. You know, he's not. If he does play, you gotta play him. His hamstring, hopefully it's good and ready to go, and he's not sitting on the sideline like he was last week. He did come back in that game, so hopefully his hamstring is good. If you got Julio, you got to play Julio. Mason, should I keep Stafford in or Kirk Cousins or Phillip Rivers? I would go Kirk Cousins over Stafford this week. And then you can stack him with Justin Jefferson. That sounds like an awesome play. Go with Kirk and Jefferson. Gives you a mix of ceiling between and then you don't have to do with Stafford or Marvin Jones, because I feel like that's a higher risk play. It's possible that Stafford has a good game. He hasn't shown it lately, so I would just kind of stay in the flames with Kirk Cousins. They have a good matchup and against Carolina, so go with Kirk and Jefferson. They're close. It's close, my man. It's close. Jefferson has a mix of floor and ceiling, similar to Marvin Jones, but his ceiling is just higher. Jefferson's ceiling is, I don't know, like 50 points. Like, that guy is amazing. We're almost ready to game time. There's only 14 people watching, but I will get to all your questions before it comes. I got to go double time here. Thanks, David, for subscribing. Shout out David Wellen, for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you. It means a lot to me. It makes my grind worth it. You know, it makes my grind every talking to you guys by myself, interacting with you makes it worth it. So thank you, David, for subscribing to the channel. Hopefully you keep liking our content. Bars in the truck. Pick one. Alex Smith, Nick Mullins, Brandon Allen, Fitzmagic. I would go Alex Smith over those options. He's got if Rivers sits. I think I don't expect Rivers to sit. I'm not really sure where you got that, but I would. So let me just check my ranks here. I would start. Let's see. I would start Rivers over Alex Smith. I'll give you my ranks here, guys. Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson over Kyler Murray this week. I would go Tom Brady, Derek Carr. I would go Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, Matt Ryan, Taysom Hill. I would go Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins. I would go Matt Stafford, then Carson Wentz, Tua Tagovailoa, and then Rivers, Goff. So that's how I have it ranked, guys. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. Let me know if you like my ranks. And that's what's going on. Should I spice up my Thursday and start Duke Johnson? You can spice up your Thursday. But I would start Balaj and Davis over those guys. So that's if you want to spice it up and watch Thanksgiving football and hope for Duke Johnson, do it. But I would start Balaj and Davis over those guys. JD or Mostert, assuming he's back. JD McKissick, I assume you're talking about. If you want to take the risk that Mostert is not back, you could just start JD McKissick. But if you want to take the risk and go with the upside play in your flex or something, go with Mostert. You have a chance to pivot if Mostert is out. You have some time. You have to pick up a waiver guy and figure that out. Not at risk of starting Duke, especially I have Chubb. Chubb is amazing. Yep, I agree. Chubb is amazing. Thank you so much for the help. Thank you guys. I saw you subscribed. Shout out David. Start Eckler if he plays. Peyton, this is my last question, Peyton. I'm gonna sit Eckler if he plays for the first week, but it does depend on your other options, Peyton. So let me know really quick who else you have as options for Eckler. Like Eckler, I'm not expecting Eckler to play number 1. So that's not a really super good option. But if Eckler plays and if you're behind and you need a full upside, that's what I would do. A couple guys coming in here. Cousins or Teddy, I think I would start Cousins. Stefan, I would start. Technically, I have Miles Sanders over Zeke, but both are good starts. Taylor or Chase Edmonds, Daryl, I would start Jonathan Taylor over Chase Edmonds. So thanks everyone for coming by. For all these new guys coming in that I answered your question, like the video before you go, and we'll get it going. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving and have a great day. He's got Davis, Montgomery, Singletary. I would start Eckler over Singletary if he plays. So there you go. Thanks, guys, for coming in. I'm going to end the stream right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that really quick. We really appreciate it, and I'm grinding every single week to help you with your start sits. We do another one on Sunday. So we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and it means a lot to us to do this for you guys and interact with the community. And hopefully you enjoyed the channel, and we will see you next week.